Hello, everyone. Hi. Thank you so much, Abigail, for the very nice introduction. And hi, everyone. I have been, get to the room quite a while and listen for what you have discussed. It's very interesting, and I think it's just, you know, um, follow back to back very nicely because Libby has mentioned and discussed with all of us the importance of mindset, values, attitude, and everything. So Abigail gave me about 45 minutes, 1 hour. So I would like to share with you all my experiences, with Thai teachers, how to cultivate mindset. Okay. There are many pedagogies, in learning and teachings that we can apply at school. And I would like to take this opportunity to share with our friends, from similar countries. Um, I will just focus, you see, we talk about many important words in Libby session, like values, mindset, attitude, behavior. In Thailand, the way we pursue these cultivate the mindset, because we believe that if students have the right mindset, it will have an impact, or it will provide directions for them to guide their behavior, and then form the attitudes at the end. So it is quite theoretically research, and we pursue with this. So the most important thing that we have to start first with to cultivate the mindset, and how we do that. Okay. So in Thailand, I think everyone in this class known already that we apply SEP, sufficiency economic philosophy, as a framework of our education. And the goal, it has been set and written in the educational law and our educational visions, that Thai students will live their lives based on sufficiency mindset. So that is in our legal framework. But in practices, we cannot just tell, teachers or students, okay, behave sufficiently. That's not going to happen. So it has to have, we call it a movement, or, some administrative procedures, and many workshops, many procedures that we have do in Thailand. That's what we call a SEP-based educational movement in Thailand. Next slide, please. Okay, I forgot I have to ask you. Okay, now, I'm not quite sure in a classroom, maybe you have heard about sufficiency economy philosophy, and can you open the whole contents of the slide, please? Sorry, I made it for animation, but thank you so much. Okay, the word sufficiency economy is coined by the last King Bhumibol, the late His Majesty. But when we talk about sufficiency economy, I think we have various words that can explain sufficiency economy. And in Thai, we do that a lot because, when we try to cultivate the mindset and have like teachings, learnings, activities, if we just use the word sufficiency economy only, it gets so boring. So, in Thailand, we use so many words to explain sufficiency economy. For example, just enough. But when you hear the word just enough, do you think it's less or it's much? Is little few or is more? You see, some people when they hear just enough, it's just they have to constrain themselves. Oh, just enough. if you have, some like, budget constraint or something, or, but when you go to, for example, if you go have buffet, right? In Thailand we have, I know in your countries you have the, buffet lunch, we pay like 4.99 baht to have, lunch, and we just like eat, how much ever that we can. And some point we think, well, this is just enough. But that buffet lunch, just enough. Sometimes maybe it's a bit too much, right? Especially for lunch, maybe get like sleepy in the afternoon. But just enough is just enough. Enough is more about, the quantity, right? Sometimes, we use the word just right. Just right is more about quality, Well, this is just right. The taste of the food is just right. Wow, the smell of the food just right. I'm talking about this because I know it's before lunch, so we should talk about food. Make everyone get hungry. And another word that's very important is balancing. Sufficiency economy in Thailand always, be alternately used with the word balancing. Balancing work and life, balancing health and money, for example, balancing between what and what. So that's we try to juggling, our way of life by balancing everything. And for sufficiency economy, what are the things that we have to balancing, about? That's we'll discuss later, but not too much, not too less. This is about just enough, just right. And when we apply this in our national development strategy, we call it, an alternative development agenda. For example, many countries talk about we have to achieve growth, like 5-6% growth. But sufficiency economy is an alternative development strategy. It's not just pursuing growth only. It's not just pursuing money only. There are many things behind the philosophy that provide to development strategy. That I will not discuss much, but it's just letting you know that this is how we understand sufficiency economy in Thailand. But how much is sufficiency? Enough for whom? And why we are applying sufficiency economy in Thailand for cultivate mindset. Next slide, please. So that's the issue that we are going to discuss about. Everyone knows about 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. Thailand, we just, said that we stated that Thailand is applying SEP to achieve SDGs, and we are on the path. I'm not talking about that much because we are going to focus on teachings and learning. Well, I have Abigail and Dr. Duriya told me that a lot of you have understand and know the sufficiency principles already, but I would like to refresh again. Well, first of all, what are the components of sufficiency economy? There are principles that we call sufficiency principles, which are moderation, reasonableness, and prudence. We will talk about that later. Just get the framework first. What are the goals when we apply SEP or sufficiency economy philosophy in our daily lives, in development, in community development, in national development, in business strategy? We would like to progress, or think about ourselves. We would like to progress our life. With what? We should have directions of progress in life, right? Someone may say, oh, I would like to earn more income. I would like to have a healthy life. I would have to have, more friends or more love, whatsoever. Based on SEP, the goal, if we apply SEP in our life, is to progress with balance. Balance is that not extreme in one direction. Balance between work and life, balance between family and friends, balance between money and health, for example, and many dimensions that we should balancing within our lives. Not too extreme, on one direction only. But more importantly is the next word, resilience. Remember, well, not remember, I should not say that. Okay. SEP has been bestowed by His Majesty King Bhumibol uh, because of the economic crisis in 1997. And Thailand just fall hard, and we come back, not strong yet, but we are moving on a balanced, development path. But we have another one that we have to be keep in mind all the time, that we have to be resilient. We have to be prudent. We have to know that all things are changing all the time. We don't know 3 years or no more, 4, 5 years ago, we don't even know that we're going to have COVID-19, right? And now, looking back, who would imagine, the Ukraine war, or which, have impact so much on the gasoline price, and, raise the cost of living in Thailand a lot, gasoline policy is quite, sensitive to everyone right now in Thailand, because we import, maybe not Brunei, but we import a lot of fuel from outside, from abroad. So to be resilient is that whenever we have changes, we should be ready to cope with that. We should prepare ourselves to cope with that, to cope with those changes. That's the word resilience. Not to fall so hard, or even before, we should be able to stand back very fast and strongly. That's resilience. In our daily lives, it's something like that, right? We would like to progress, but we would like to balance between, as I say, money and health and family and friends and everything. And then we have to be resilient. The easy example is having saving, right? I don't know whether you come from private, schools, or public school, but for example, in Thailand with COVID-19, a lot of people have been laid off from their job, from their work. If they didn't have, savings for about 3 to 6 months of their, spending, their lives expense, then they will be in trouble, because to search, a new job, within a short term period, that was very difficult. So resilience is something like that. Prepare for the unknown changes, or something that we can expect. So we prepare ourselves. Saving is one type of preparing ourselves for those changes and make ourselves be resilient. That's the goal. You can look back to your life. Am I setting my life goals like this? I would like to progress with balance and resilience. Maybe this is something that you can think about. But then to be able to apply the SEP principles, to be able to achieve the SEP-based goals, we need quality foundations, which is human development, which means that we need to have knowledge and virtues at the same time. Think about your students. If they have only knowledge, but they don't have virtues, they don't have values, or they have not the right values, but the wrong values, what would happen? What would be the future of that student? So knowledge has to come with virtues all the time. But with only virtues without knowledge, maybe students cannot, solve the problems in their lives. They cannot, progress as they wish. So what we call quality foundations based on SEP is the having knowledge and virtue. So this is just to refresh the components of SEP. Next slide, please. And that, I put this, I think you have seen this several times, Now, we get into a little bit more details, knowledge and virtues, decisions has to be made based on knowledge. We have to know what we are going to do first. And I will do exercise, with all of you at the moment, but, put these two concepts first. Moderation is like, you balancing between what and what. Our lives has always limit. I think teachers, you have salary, right? So, your income every month. So our expense should be moderately comparing with our income, right? Our adventure should be moderately balancing with our health, not our health or our capacity. For example, moderation is that balancing between two things. One thing that are our limitations, and one thing is that what we would like to achieve. Reasonableness is something that we think about why we do this and what we would like to achieve by doing this. For example, when you are going to get into the class and you would like to, start the class, of course, I think it's the same in Thailand, is that you have a lesson plan, right? In your lesson plan in Thailand also, the first thing that we said is that, what are the learning objectives? That's the reason why we are teaching this, why we are talking about this knowledge, why we are using this pedagogy. That's the reason that we are doing things. So SEP mindset is really to have students and everyone, applying this. A reasonable person, not argue with just feelings or angers or bias, but have reasons when we discuss or make decisions. So those two, moderation and reasonableness, is what we use in making decisions. But not only that, we talk about resilience, right? So when we are going to prepare anything, you plan to take students, go out for some sightseeing. Maybe you have to think about the weather, you have to think maybe the traffic and everything. We have to be prudent so that, our sightseeing, or excursion will be based on prudence. So that's the three principles: balancing between what we have and what we would like to achieve, be reasonable when we are making any decisions or attempting to do anything, and being prudent when we are planning to do something, prepare for the changes, prepare for things that, and that we can expect that maybe have changes, right? And lastly, I talk about progress with balance. By SEP, based on SEP, we try to balance between economy, social, environment, and culture. Economy is something that, next slide, please, I think. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Now I will get into your interactive learning with me. For example, if we would like to, I would like everyone to imagine if you're going to buy a new notebook. You like to buy a new notebook, right? Okay. Well, first of all, what I would like to get knowledge first. What kind of knowledge should we acquire before we go and spend our maybe $1,000? $1,000, maybe it's cheaper than that. But before we decide that, we are going to buy, Acer or Dell or, Apple or what kind of ever, we should have knowledge first, right? Okay. What kind of knowledge should we have? I would like you to focus on this little orange box here. Apply SEP, which is 2 conditions, 3 principles, and 4 balancing goal. In planning to buy a new notebook, we start from 2 first. 2 conditions, right? 2 quality conditions. What kind of knowledge? Okay. Should I, Abigail, I'm not quite sure. Should we let anyone, turn on their microphone, or they just type in the chat box? I don't know whether which format that you are using with interactive learning. Maybe you can type in the chat box.
Yes, both. Ajahn can also call them.
Yes. Okay. What should we know before we go out to the mall and buy the new notebook? Okay. Well, maybe I'll start with, maybe we should know why we are going to use, for what we are going to use this notebook for, right? Maybe Abigail, you can type for me, or maybe for what? Okay. The purpose, right? For what? The purpose of buying this new notebook. Okay. Right. I start with some example. The purpose, what kind of notebook we need. Yes, what type of notebook we need. But what kind of notebook we need? Then we need to know, are we going to use to play games, or are we going to use uh, to teach in class, or we are going to use to you know, yes, we should check the price, right? You should check the price because, you know, the range of price that in Thailand, I think we can buy from like, you know, I use US dollars so that we can communicate with each other, you know, maybe from about $200, very cheap one, to about $1,000. I think, yeah, 1,000 may be the maximum of the notebook that we, yes. Yes, we need to know the purpose. Okay, that's a knowledge of ourselves, right? The price and we should go to review to read the reviews of each notebook too, right? You know, the customer satisfactions of each you know, each brand or each you know, versions, right? Okay, we need to know all of those, right? And virtues maybe is something that difficult to think about, but for example, are we going to buy this notebook by cash or using credit? Now we have to think. That's about virtues too, right? If you're going to be by cash, maybe we have to be patient enough, perseverance to start saving money to buy it. Or are we going to borrow someone else or ask someone to buy for us? Well, many things that we can think about virtues, you know, when we are going to buy notebook. But at least, you know, we have to be patient in acquiring knowledge, right? Perseverance in terms of, you know, acquiring knowledge. Because to buy one notebook, I don't think we can just, you know, go into, you know, Google and search for knowledge, you know, information, and one day we just found the answer. I think, like myself, you know, I spent about a week, you know, to get all the information before I decided to buy this notebook that I'm using right now. That needs patience, that needs perseverance, right? Okay, know the price. I'm reading our friend Penjiran Haji, right? Thank you, purpose. Yes, the importance. Yes. So if it's for work, maybe we are willing to pay a little bit more, right? Because we are going to use it to for work, and that, you know, we can earn income from working too, right? Okay. So and one thing, you know, when we are really going to buy the notebook, I say we have to be mindful, you know, to choose the very right one, to read, you know, the insurance, you know, coming with a notebook and everything. So that requires a lot of, you know, patience, perseverance, mindfulness, right? Well, that's, you see, that's two qualities, foundations that we have in ourselves, knowledge and virtues, before we make any decisions. But I would like to put one remarks here. Now we have knowledge. Now we know we have virtues, we have perseverance. But if we ask our students, for example, grade 6, you know, I think in Thailand, grade 4, they start using, you know, iPad already, notebook, right? Grade 4, grade 5, grade 6. If we ask students themselves to make a decision to buy a notebook, will those students try to acquire knowledge as much as we do? Or they just search, you know, a little bit, 1, 2, 3 things, price, you know, get some information from their friends and then go and buy it. You see, the depth and the width of knowledge are things that different based on experiences, you know, based on, well, many factors. So those are the things that I think, you know, we can create a learning activities to share and learn, to acquire as many, you know, knowledge, so that we have thorough knowledge before we make decision to buy a notebook. That I think we can create in a classroom, right? And virtues, sometimes it has to be learning by doing, get some class, to get students to be patient, of, acquiring knowledge, get them some homework, coming back, present next week, those are things that we can create learning activities in class based on this, right? Okay, next, going to the principles. Moderation. Moderation is that, within capacities, avoid the extremes. What will be the limitations if you are going to buy notebooks for each of you? I would say first is the budget, right? Is there anything else that you think that limitations, of ourselves when we're going to buy notebook? I said the budget. Maybe that's easy. Conditions of what? Hami, can you explain a little bit more? Conditions of what? You mean conditions of using in schools of the notebook? Okay. I would like to come back to limits of ourselves, not the notebook yet, because we're going to choose the notebook. That is just right for our conditions, right? I say the budget, I think this is maybe is everyone conditions, budget, right? How about our capacity? Like I'm hesitate to buy Apple notebook because I use this a normal notebook for a long time. I don't want to learn more how to use app. Although people say oh, Apple is so good and everything. Yes, we use iPad, but when it goes to Apple notebook, I think it's quite a little bit different, right? So maybe that's my limitation. So I tend to buy the same. Like I use about Acer or whatever, the same, right? The purpose, yes, that's the conditions of ourselves. Moderation is something that we recognize our conditions, our limitations, and we live within our means, our limits. You said, well, Dr. Priyanut, hey, can I have growth mindset? I do more. Yes, you can do. But then you plan for the future, for tomorrow. But today, what are our limitations? We would like to have, say, $1,000 notebook. But look at our income, look at our saving. Maybe we can buy only $500, notebook. That's our limitations for today. But if we really want, $1,000 notebook, or we'd like to go for, Apple, right? Notebook, then maybe we start saving. Let's go to the virtues. Let's go to planning. But then we have to sacrifice that we are going not to have a new notebook today. That's moderation, living within our means. But to be able to live within our means, we have to know ourselves first. We know our budget. We know our capacity. We know our preference, our preference, right? Our purpose, as you mentioned. And all of this decision has to be based on reasons, reasonable. Why? Why we choose between buying $500 US dollars notebook today? Because we save enough. It serves my purpose. I can use to teach. It's okay with me to use this. Why we are not buying this $500 $500 today, but we are going to save a little bit more and buy 1,000 US dollars. We have reasons. We think within ourselves. Sometimes we know that the notebook that we want today is $1,000. Maybe it will get into discount for about $800, at the end of the year. So patient, wait, so that we can get a better, more, capacities notebook that we can use for many things. And we have more time to save. See, Every decision has to be by reasons, not by just that. I want that, then I'll go to buy it. That's not SEP mindset. Okay, I think now we understand moderation and reasonableness. Then going to prudence. Prudence is risk management, preparing for future changes. Before we buy any notebook, before you let them to charge your credit card, did you read the insurance policy? Did you check all the conditions of the notebook before you take it out of the store? Or, you make sure that you get enough knowledge to make decisions. That's prudence. You see, when we bought a notebook, took it home. Did you keep the receipt? You take pictures of that, keep it, because just in case something happened, you still have receipt with you, maybe within 6 months or something like that. Those are prudence actions to make sure that you won't get into any problems in the future with this notebook. And one more important thing, did you search the way to use the notebook in the most, efficient way? Otherwise, a lot of people have notebook and they use just, for some small things, not used up to their capacity. So those learnings coming with the prudence action. Those 2 conditions and 3 principles that I'm discussing, these are the framework that we can use when we make a decision. But when we are going to move forward to make our decision based on sufficiency economy philosophy to achieve sustainability or sustainable development goals, then we have to think about the outcome of our actions, which are 4 dimensions of balancing progress with balance in 4 dimensions and resilience. Next slide, please. Okay. Before we talk about 2 conditions, knowledge and virtues, we talk about 3 principles. Those are sufficiency principles. But if we would like to move forward, I use the word S4S. S4S. The first S is sufficiency. 4 is for, F-O-R. Another S is sustainability. Remember I mentioned that Thailand applying SEP for achieving SDGs. So when we are going to aim that our actions based on SEP have to be on a sustainable path, we have to think about the outcome that we expect from our action. And those dimensions balancing among materials, social, environment, and culture. First, material or economy. Is this action of buying notebook make us broke? We use up all our saving. But then the next day, if we have, something happen, get to see the doctors, we don't have any saving anymore. Wow, that's not balancing in terms of economy. We have to be more prudent in terms of materials, social, society, caring and sharing. Maybe it's not me to buy a notebook, but our friends. So we ask information, we share information, we share our experiences. So in the process of buying a notebook, we have to be careful to embrace the social capital, the friendships, how we interact with others. For example, in schools, caring, sharing, non-harming, those should be the social capital that we created among, the activities, the learning activities. And for us, saying buying notebook, should not create any problems with our families or our friends or something like that. Well, you can imagine any actions that can lead to that. Environment. What are we going to do with the used computers, the old one? Giving to others? Throw into the garbage? Well, with sufficiency economy philosophy, you have to think about environment all the times to create a sustainable development. So think about how to do with the used notebook. Or even when we buy a new notebook, should we care about, oh, this is made from 80% recycled materials, something like that? See, step mindset. If we would like to bring it to sustainability, we think about this environmental impact of our actions too. The last one, the cultural things. Well, this may not be relevant to buy notebook yet, but well, in this case, maybe it's not, but in many cases, in many activities, we can integrate the cultural, the wisdom, the local wisdom, or the national cultural capital into learning activities. I will show you later the example. Next slide, please. That we finish with how to apply SEP into our daily activities, right? Like buying notebook. I think everyone can align yourself, or your experiences, with this, right? I would like to share. I have about 20 minutes. I would like to share the pedagogy that we use a lot in Thailand to cultivate the mindset, the STEP mindset. Actually, this can be done with anything, not just the STEP mindset, but we use this a lot in integrating STEP in learning activities. We call it QPA. Q stands for questions. P stands for plan. A, actions. R, reflections. This fits well with learning activities in classroom or even outside classroom. I will go to that one by one. Questions is that, you see, to cultivate the mindset, students or learners have to think by themselves. By thinking, they learn within themselves what is right, what is wrong, what is appropriate, what is not. And when they share with others, then they learn more, widening their think, or understand more what is appropriate, what is right, what is wrong. So questioning makes students think. For example, in class, you can ask many questions. I will give you a set of questions that we use a lot in Thailand. But questioning is very important. Like I asked you, why do you want to buy this new notebook? What are you going to use it for? How much money you have? Did you read the insurance yet? Did you read the review yet? What do you think about, the reviews, of that notebook? When we ask questions, students think, learner think, and try to reflect that in their mind. So the first and foremost step to cultivate the mindset is starting with questions. But we have a set of framework. We not just go and ask what ever. Are you happy today? Well, it's okay, but maybe we have a simple framework to ask questions to cultivate the STEP mindset. I will talk about that. When questions, for example, you have a lesson plan, you would like to teach about, for example, teaching about the weather, the changing, the climate change, for example, you would like to, if you have a lesson plan about climate change, you go into class, you don't just say, okay, I'm going to teach climate change today, let's learn. I don't think everyone do that, right? We start questions. Why we see a lot of forest fire right now? Why the weather is so hot right now? Get students think. So they form their mindset. They get alert. They get inspiring. They get acquiring mind, starting with questions. Then your lesson plan may be something about, have students to list up, what are the actions that we can do to deal with the climate change that we call climate actions, right? If the lesson plan is something like that, then you let the students plan. Okay, Now, how can we we do some small things that can contribute to climate actions? Then let them plan by themselves. Planning is very important because planning follows with actions. When they act, they will go back to what they planned, that oh, they have not had enough knowledge, they have not thought about this, their plan is not suitable with the conditions of the school, then they can reflect back. That goes to reflections. So plan, actions, and reflections comes together to make students learn from their not making plans thoroughly or completely. And the next round, they can do it better. You see, in my view, schools, our school, is the place that students can learn from mistakes so that they don't make those mistakes when they go out of school and live their real life in society. I rephrase it again, but maybe this is my view of school, but the beauty of schooling, of school, is that students can learn mistakes with teachers as their coach, with friends surrounding and learn together, share experiences, so that they won't make those mistakes when they get out of school and live their lives as an adult in society. So planning, let students plan by themselves. They do actions based on their plan. We can give advice. We can be facilitators. We can be coach. But let students be actors in those lesson plans of your climate, actions lesson plan. And at the end of the class, let them reflect what they have learned from those actions. If they can go back, what if they would like to make change in those plans? The next round, it will get better and better and better and better. That's how we cultivate the mindset and the behaviors. Next slide, please. Because I'm not, conducting the whole coursework, so I have only 1 hour. So I'll go very briefly on this. These are the questions that we use a lot, in Thai. Of course, we use in Thai, right? And these are the questions that we extract from the framework of SEP, 2 conditions, 3 principles, and 4 dimensions balancing goals. You can use this all the time, and it's so easy to ask. Okay, come back to our climate actions lesson plan. We talk about, the situations right now. I think in many of our countries, we share the same experiences. Forest fires, it's so hot, the heat wave, the weather is not as we can predict as before. So we can talk about that, well, questionings, let students talk about that. And then, well, can we do anything with climate actions? We can ask something like, what are we attempting to do? What is the issue that we are going to do? Then, of course, students may answer, okay, we are going to plan, our climate actions, maybe 2 actions, in our daily lives. That's what we are going to attempt to do, right? That is, I believe, in your learning objectives and in your learning activities, but that's our lesson plan. What we really do in class is we guide the actions by questionings. Why are we doing this? Students may say, okay, I will try to save water. I will recycle the bottles. They may have all the list. Please not letting students just giving the list of their actions. We are talking about climate action. Always ask them why. When we ask why, students will think about the reasons, the causes why they are going to do this, and ask them what will be the impact of that action. Make students think, from the beginning to the end of their actions. That's how we cultivate the mindset and change it into behaviors. Many research confirm that students from the age of 7 years old, can start thinking by using reasons. So not be shy to ask students about why, what are the impact of your actions. If you that's what would be the effects, of your actions. Let them think a lot. When something conform happening in their mind, it returns into actions naturally. Students won't do if you tell them, go recycle. Everyone, let's do recycle. No. But students will do that naturally if they know if they do recycle, what will happen with their lives here, now, and in the future. That we make students think about sustainability without saying anything at all about sustainable development, but make students think about the impact. If they throw the plastic bag on the playground today, what will happen in the future? Let them think, let them talk, let them discuss with friends, let them search through Google. When they found that those plastic bags will stay there for 100 years, not diluting, they will not throw the plastic bag on the playground again. They will collect every plastic materials from the ground. We move the actions by the mindset. Okay. See, we can ask what will be the results if we do this. Ask this all the time. In Thailand, I can share with you that when I meet teachers, teachers at the very first when we start this movement, right? They said that students said they get so tired of getting questions all the time. They are lazy to think. Why teachers come in and ask questions again? But then after few years, teachers come to me and say that now students know that what teachers will come to them, what kind of questions students will have to prepare to answer. And they know that will have impact in their mind and it will have an effect on their behavior. Okay, go to the next question. Are we ready to do this? For example, okay, we are going to do recycle activities in school. Are we ready to do this? Do we have, all the materials? Do we have a group? Do we know how to do this? Are we ready? Are we ready is something that we ask about moderation. You see, we are not going, okay, let's be moderate on this. No, are we ready to do this? Check ourselves, check our teams, check the conditions. Like we are going to buy the notebook, right? Do we have the budget? Do we have time? Do we have capacity? Do we have knowledge? Check our preparedness. This is about moderation mindset. Then, this is the most important thing that I would like teachers to try to do it. What are fundamental ethics to succeed the work that we should be aware of? You think how to create, morality in students? How to cultivate the values? Yes, we can do it by questionings. What are fundamental ethics to succeed the work? Most of the time, I ask students, to tell whatever, and then I get them to vote. I would suggest 3 at most. What are 3 fundamental ethics? So students get votes. Then they may get, patience. They may get discipline. They may get helping each other. Okay, they have 3, they vote. Put that on the board in the classroom to remind them that whatever they do, they have to stick with these fundamental ethics. These are the ethics that comes from students. They raise it up. They vote it by majority. They have these 3 ethics. Then they are the one who follows that. Students won't like when teachers tell them, be patient, help each other. You agree with me, right? So we flip the coin. Let students raise the ideas of the fundamental ethics that they need to have to make these, climate actions work. We will have about 10 or 11, whatsoever. Get them vote. This is about democracy, right? So the majority votes for these three ethics. Put that on the board. Keep reminding that. At least you can conform students into these three ethics during do these activities, the climate actions. Please try it. It works in Thailand. I will insist that get three at most. Don't get too much. It will be too difficult for students to make it happen. Next one, do we have enough knowledge to do the work? Yes, every actions need knowledge. Okay. Then if we don't, how can we acquire needed knowledge? These past students are recently they are so capable to do this. Search Google, do Chat GPT, what kinds of ever, get the knowledge together, get a pool of knowledge, sharing them and put it on the blackboard or the chart. And okay, they have enough knowledge, grouping them, and now they have enough knowledge to do this. Okay, the next one is that the sequences to complete the work. The sequence is very important because what should be done first? This is how to teach students to learn about priority or urgency. Maybe the first thing is that go to collect all the plastic garbage, in the playground. Maybe that's the first thing that they should do, right? Not the first thing is that to go to the headmaster to ask for the budget to set a recycling bin. Maybe that's the third or the fourth one. These questions is very important for SEP development strategy because the sequencing, what should come first, is about moderation with reasonableness. Make students learn how to prioritize things in their life, know what are urgent, what can be wait for a little while, and this is how to, cultivate the values too. The last thing is that prudence, resilience. Let students think about the risk that may occur with the obstacles to getting our climate actions, successfully done. Then how to prevent it, how to prepare for change. So these are, you can have more than this. I just select the very most important questions that we use a lot in Thailand, to cultivate the mindset. And this is how we do it in Thailand that I would like to share with you. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I think Abigail has given you the QR code and the worksheet for SEP. Whenever you do this questioning, you can ask students, to fill up this the worksheet by themselves first. But in Thailand, because maybe our culture is that students learn better when they learn with others. This is based on research in Thailand, how Thai children can learn better. They learn better when they learn with others. It's different from Chinese students or Japanese students. I went to high school in Japan, so I know the difference a lot. Chinese or Japanese or maybe Korean, they learn better when they learn by themselves, independently. But in Thailand, Thai students learn better and faster when they learn with others. So this, I don't know about your schools, your countries, you have to find yourselves. But in Thailand, this worksheet, we always, get students, 2 or 3 of them, fill it up together. That fits with our, maybe national culture, what kinds of ever. So I find a way to use this worksheet the best for your class. Next slide, please. Okay. I think I would like, next slide, please. Yes. For example, in Thailand, personal debt is just horrible right now in Thailand, especially after COVID-19. But we have started, we call it financial literacy in Thailand from long time ago. And this is based on SEP. You see, Students from grade 2 and grade 3, they start to keep record of their own income and expenses. It seems like an easy task, but how can we integrate SEP into these learning activities? When they record, we have this worksheet. The record is not just putting income or expense of each day. There is one more column, saving. You see, prudence, resilience, saving, right? There are, you can see many columns here. Another columns. If you are interested in Abigail, I can find an example of this worksheet in Thai. Maybe Abigail can translate into English and, share with others. If you're interested in this, financial literacy based on SEP in Thailand. There are another column. For each expense, they have to check whether this is necessary or want. Necessary or want. If they buy, for example, candies, they have to be honest by themselves, necessarily, or just want to have candies. Get students check, learn, think, make decisions by themselves, right? So with this, from grade 2, they learn how to analyze, necessity or want of their income. They start to do saving, right? And then they share with this, because they have to do this, recording every day. In Thailand, they send this to the homeroom class, which is in Thailand, is always, Friday afternoon homeroom class. They send it to teachers, maybe read it. I have known, many inspiring stories from this, because not all Thai students are rich, right? There are many poor students too in schools, in basic school in Thailand. When teachers, learn that students, what have me so little, to school, and they don't even have to, think money to buy, and teachers observe that, they never have, some students never have dessert, from their recording income expenses. So she start, having sharing experiences, in class, and other, friends, sharing their dessert with their students. It can turns into many activities later. But the most important thing is that students learn about themselves first and take it seriously about spending money. So this can cultivate the analytical skills, the discipline, the diligence, and many things can apply, in this very simple learning activities in Thailand. Just to let you know, this is for grade 2 and grade 3. When they go into grade 4, they start to do records of incomes of their families. A lot of students never known how much money their parents make. So when they know, they start to think, when they would like to buy things, think more. This is to, cultivate the social skills, families, living with families, in along the learning activities. Okay, I don't have much time. Next slide, please. But as I promised, if you are interested in this, sheet, the financial literacy sheet, I will give it to Abigail. Next slide, please. Okay, I just would like to use my 5 minutes to emphasize on 4 outcomes. Whatever the lesson plans, learning activities that you plan to do in your class, please think about the outcomes of these 4 dimensions. Economy, I put it in a very simple way. Save money, frugality, and save. In terms of economy, save and save. In terms of social, is this, learning activities will lead to caring and sharing more in class, in schools. In terms of environment, is it going to lead to clean and green? Well, some schools tend to do no waste. Maybe that's a little bit hard. So I just stop with clean and clean. And then the cultural, you may have local knowledge, local wisdom, local, materials that you can apply in class. That's the cultural side. So I just would like to give these 4 dimensions for you to keep in your mind when you plan your next lesson plans or learning activities, that if it can lead to balancing these 4 dimensions, then you are going to contribute to sustainable development. Okay, another slide, I can just go quickly to just show what we are having. Next slide, please. Materials, safe and safe, you see. Okay, next is social, learning in a group, learning together, caring and sharing, discipline. Next, okay, clean and clean environment. And the last one will be culture, I think. Yes, culture. Try to integrate your local cultural, wisdoms or materials, into your learning activities. That you will contribute to sustainable development too. Okay, my last slide is just summary. So I will stop with the summary slide.